If you've ever wondered why your yard has so many squirrels, I totally get it. Mine's the same way. With all the trees around, it sometimes feels like we've become the neighborhood squirrel hub. They take over the feeders, dig in the garden, and chase each other around like they own the place. In this video, we're going to look at 5 big reasons why squirrels might be crowding into your yard. If you enjoy backyard bird and wildlife content, please hit like and subscribe. It really helps the channel and lets both YouTube and us know you want to see more of these videos. Number 1. You have bird feeders. This one's pretty obvious. If you're putting out seed, suet, or other treats for your backyard birds, you're also sending an open invitation to the local squirrel population. Squirrels are clever and persistent. They'll leap impressive distances, flip lids, hang upside down, and do whatever it takes to get a snack. Even so-called squirrel-proof feeders often don't cut it on their own. A properly installed baffle can help, but many people don't use one, or place their feeder close enough to a fence or tree branch that squirrels can bypass the whole setup. Once they get in, they'll take full advantage of any spilled seed, suet crumbs, or easy access points. Squirrels are creatures of habit, and if they know food shows up in your yard regularly, they'll keep coming back. What starts as one curious visitor often turns into a group that returns day after day. At that point, it's not really a bird feeder anymore. It's a squirrel feeder that the birds are sometimes lucky enough to use. Number 2. Your yard has natural food. Even if you don't have a single feeder, your yard might still be feeding squirrels without you realizing it. Squirrels are opportunistic eaters, and they're far from picky. Acorns are a big part of their fall diet, but they'll also go after all kinds of natural foods depending on the season. If you've got mature nut-bearing trees like oak, hickory, chestnut, or walnut, you're basically running a year-round squirrel snack bar. They know how to sniff out nuts even before they hit the ground. Add in things like fruiting shrubs, a vegetable garden, or sunflowers and corn, and you've just expanded the menu. And it's not just the obvious stuff. Squirrels are rodents, and like most rodents, they'll eat almost anything with calories. They'll dig through mulch, chew on bark, root through compost, and snack on things you probably wouldn't think of as food. If it grows, decays, or smells even slightly edible, they're going to test it out. The bottom line is, if your yard has both natural food sources and tree cover, squirrels are going to stick around, whether you're feeding them on purpose or not. And if you have little tree cover but still see a lot of squirrels, it might mean your yard is a valuable food source, good enough for them to risk being in open areas. Number 3. Your yard provides shelter. Food might draw squirrels in, but shelter is what makes them stay. Dense shrubs, brush piles, thickets, and even decks or sheds can work in a pinch, but squirrels prefer the safety and elevation of large mature trees. Trees give them both a place to escape danger and a spot to build nests, especially if there are cavities or hollow sections in the trunk. Squirrels typically build leafy nests high in the branches called drays, but they're not picky. They'll take advantage of tree hollows or even man-made spaces like attics, garages, and sheds if they can squeeze in. As long as they have overhead cover, nearby food, and a sense of safety, they're likely to stick around. Unlike birds, squirrels don't need much to get comfortable. Just a secure, elevated spot and some materials for nesting like leaves, moss, insulation, or even shredded plastic are enough to make a cozy home. Even if your yard doesn't offer much in the way of natural food, squirrels may still use it as a base if it feels safe. It's not uncommon for them to venture up to 500 feet away from their home base in search of food. That could be several houses or backyards over. In neighborhoods with a mix of trees, gardens, and feeders, you'll often see them crossing roads or hopping fences as they make their rounds. As long as your yard offers solid shelter, they'll keep returning, even if the main buffet is somewhere else. Number 4. Squirrels will stay for generations. Squirrels don't just show up, grab a snack, and move on. Once they've found a yard that meets all their needs, they tend to stick around. And if they raise young there, their offspring often stay nearby too. Squirrels can have 2 litters a year, one in the spring and another in late summer, with each litter usually producing between 2 and 4 babies, though sometimes more. Not all of them survive, but in a well-fed suburban yard with plenty of trees and cover, the odds are pretty good. By the time they're 10 to 12 weeks old, young squirrels are fully independent, but many of them stay close to where they were born, especially if there's easy access to food and shelter. So, if a female raised her litter in your yard last year, there's a good chance some of those juveniles are now regulars at your feeders or darting around your trees. Over time, your yard can quietly become home base for multiple generations of the same squirrel family. And since squirrels don't migrate or hibernate, they're not just passing through, they're permanent residents on your property. What seems like a sudden surge in squirrel activity might actually be the slow buildup of squirrels that have been there for years, raising families, building nests, and staying just out of sight until the population starts to add up. Number 5. With squirrels, word travels fast. Squirrels watch each other closely. If one finds a reliable food source, others will notice and follow. That's how a yard that used to get one occasional visitor suddenly starts drawing in a half dozen. It's not just about reproduction. It's also about word of mouth, or rather, word of movement. Since most squirrel vocalizations are related to danger, territory, or mating, they don't call each other over when they find food. Instead, they rely on what they see and what they smell. A squirrel that watches another dig, chew, or access a feeder will often come back later to investigate. They can also detect scent cues from disturbed soil or recently handled nuts, which helps them locate cached food. This kind of observational learning is part of what makes squirrels such good problem solvers. They're quick to learn from each other, and they're especially good at figuring out how to get into feeders that were designed to keep them out. Once your yard gets on the local squirrel radar, it tends to stay there, and pretty soon, you might be drawing in squirrels from neighboring yards, or even across the street. All it takes is the right mix of food and shelter, and your yard can quickly become the local squirrel hotspot, especially if the neighbors aren't offering the same kind of buffet. By now, it's probably clear that squirrels are persistent and highly observant, but they're also surprisingly good at learning your routine. If you refill your bird feeders at the same time each morning, squirrels can learn that. They have excellent memory and strong pattern recognition. They'll also notice what time you come outside, where you walk, and which feeder you check first. Over time, they'll start anticipating your schedule. That's part of why they return day after day and seem so determined to get what they want. You've become part of their pattern, whether you meant to or not. Once they've built a routine around your yard, it's surprisingly hard to break. So, if your yard seems to be crawling around with squirrels lately, now you have a better idea of why. Food, shelter, safety, and routine all play a big part. And with squirrels, once they move in, they usually don't go far. That's it for this one. We hope you enjoyed this video. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this. Have an amazing day.